ladies and gentlemen. We've invited first class, now we're inviting executive platinum, emerald, sapphire.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome back Lee Harris. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks, Ria. Yeah, it's been a good week. So, yeah, feeling good.
Good. Well, I see you've got wings coming out of your head today.
You like it? I'm auditioning for a part in the new Lord of the Rings TV series. What do you reckon?
I think you've got it. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, there's pretty much nobody else that has the assets that you have.
That's for sure.
So I have to mention that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since
1978.
When you were born, which is a good thing.
Yes, very, very proud of that as well.
I know. I can tell. So what's going on? Europe has brought out this digital COVID certificate. Tell us what that means.
So basically we touched on it last week with regards to, how it's going to work and all the rest of it, but it went live on July the 1st. So it's now into effect, and it allows EU citizens and residents the ability to have their digital COVID certificates issued and verified across the EU. More than 200 million certificates have already been generated across the member states of the European Union. Now, the introduction of the EU's digital certificate system is the final step in ensuring free movement across the region when it comes to dealing with COVID-19. The aim of the EU digital COVID certificate is to facilitate safe and free movement in the EU during the COVID-19 pandemic. All Europeans have the right to free movement, also without the certificate. But what the certificate will do is facilitate travel, helping to exempt holders from restrictions such as quarantine. Now, under the new rules, which came into effect on Thursday, EU member states must refrain from imposing additional travel restrictions on holders of an EU digital COVID certificate. Basically, it stops them being able to put people into quarantine or self-isolation or asking them for further PCR tests. And so in theory, it should work great. But what I would say is if any EU crew have received their COVID travel certificate and are using it whilst traveling, could they please reach out to me, as I'd love to hear if it's been a painless experience or if they've encountered any issues whilst they're traveling with the document.
Well, and you know what? I mean, sometimes there are issues. You just never know. But it's good to hear that because, we've been talking about the fact that every single country, no matter whether you're in Europe or anywhere else, there seems to be different sort of expectations. You've got to, I know there was something that I saw on social media the other day. They were talking about kids. And in one country in the EU, it was 11 and under were exempt from any sort of test. In another country, it was 6 and under. And, it was just so confusing. So it's nice to know that once everybody has this digital passport, that it's just a matter of saying, look, I've had it, boom, done, Bob's your uncle. But again, it might take a while for every single agent at the border to figure that out as well, because sometimes there's a bit of confusion there as well.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, like you say, it's been a recurring theme, hasn't it? One country needs this, another country wants that. Then there's all these other things that come into play. So it does make it extremely difficult for crew traveling. Like we've said all the way through this, the whole time we've done the interviews. So hopefully now, at least in the EU, especially with the med season now in full swing, it should make things a lot easier for travelers coming in. Hopefully it will be reciprocated with other countries outside the EU going forward. I know they're talking about, because obviously the UK at this moment in time, they're not part of it, so they don't get the EU certificate. But I know there are talks between the UK government and the European Union to try and sort of facilitate some way that they can be included in it. So if that comes on board, that would be great as well. And it is one less thing to worry about for crew who are traveling during trying times.
Yeah, for sure. What's going on with Russia at the moment?
Yeah, good news for Russian crew this week. Russian authorities have announced that flights would be allowed to resume between Russia and 8 other countries. Those being the United States, Italy, Ireland, and 5 other countries. They'll have their air connectivity restored with Russia. Specific routes that have started up departing from Moscow this week are as follows. 4 flights a week to Brussels in Belgium, 2 flights a week to Dublin in Ireland, 2 flights a week to Rome and Milan in Italy, 4 flights a week to Larnaca in Cyprus, 4 flights a week to Varna and Sofia in Bulgaria, and numerous flights a week to New York, Miami, and Los Angeles in the United States.
Wow, that's good news for sure. More news out of Spain.
Yeah, unfortunately, not good news for Britons, but they're now obliged to present a negative PCR test or be fully vaccinated to enter the Spanish borders, with the decision coming into force from July the 1st. According to the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, the new rules come after the government expressed concerns over the Delta variant of the coronavirus.
Do you know what? I wondered when that was going to happen because, considering where we are in the Balearic Islands, we don't have that strain here, and we're opening up to the Britons, and there was, it was almost like free movement. A lot of the locals here were like, yes, we want the tourism, but please, put some rules in place, make these people have a PCR test or at least an antigen test or something before we let them in through the border. So it looks like they're going to be doing that, they are doing it. So that sort of takes a bit of the worry out of the situation.
It does, but I think that, to be honest, I think their hand has been pushed a little bit as well with that, because obviously the UK last week announced that they were going to be putting certain parts of Spain onto the green list, which meant basically free travel for Britons to travel there and come back without the need for quarantine or further PCR testing or self-isolation, all the rest of it. So I think that probably played into the thought process for Spain as well, thinking that, a lot more Brits are now going to be able to travel over to Spain, which is a popular holiday destination for them anyway, and is now one of only a very few countries that are on that green list. So there's probably going to be a massive influx. So they clearly needed to put something in place, and thankfully left on it.
Well, that's good news. And Germany, what's going on there?
Yeah, so traveling to Germany from Portugal and Russia has been banned this week, again due to a high number of cases of the Delta variant detected in both countries in recent weeks. The move means that aside from citizens and residents of Germany, all other leisure travellers from both of these countries will be prohibited. Germany have also confirmed that travel from the UK for leisure is still banned due to ongoing concerns of the Delta variant as well. In better news, though, for Germany, it did announce restriction-free travel for the following 10 countries, and this came into effect from today, July the 4th. This means leisure travel will now be allowed if arriving from one of the following: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Brunei, Jordan, Canada, Qatar, Kosovo, Moldova, and Montenegro.
Okay. The New Zealand travel bubble. What's going on? Because you guys went down this last week. We had a conversation over the fact that the travel bubble had been suspended at that stage because there had been an outbreak.
Yeah, that's right. So last week we talked about it to say that it had been, suspended due to the outbreak of the COVID cases in Australia. So further to last week's discussion on New Zealand temporary pause in the travel bubble, we do have an update. Basically, it's a little bit good news, a little bit bad news, unfortunately. The good news is the announcement that certain routes will start up again from midnight July the 5th. A review was done this week and is now deemed that quarantine-free travel can resume from Tasmania, Victoria, and South Australia. Now, the bad news is that travel from New South Wales, the Northern Territory, Queensland, and Western Australia will still be paused. Now, they're going to make another decision this coming week. I think it's going to be on Tuesday, the 6th of July, on whether they're going to open up or not. My guess at this moment in time is probably not. They don't seem to have a handle on the cases in those certain states at the moment, but we will find out more with regards to those ones. The ones who can travel have to make sure they have not been in New South Wales on or after 23:59 on June 22nd, or in Queensland, the Northern Territory, or Western Australia on or after 22:30 on June 26th. They will also need to show a negative pre-departure test before boarding their flights to New Zealand.
Okay, well, it's a move in the right direction. It's not perfect,
yeah, I mean,
but
yeah, I mean, we've got a few states opened up, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't be too much longer when the rest can. But I think probably this week's going to be a little bit too soon.
Yeah. Well, and there is some good news in regards to Bluetooth headphones on certain airlines, or straight across the board.
Unfortunately, not straight across the board at the moment. Qatar Airlines and United Airlines both announced this week that they will be the first two airlines in the world to allow passengers to use their own Bluetooth-enabled headphones in conjunction with the airline's in-flight entertainment system. This means that wherever your preference is in earbuds or over-the-ear noise-cancelling headphones, you will be able to enjoy the numerous TV shows and movies available to you on board with your own personal headphones. Like we quickly talked about off there, it's going to save a fortune because some airlines were charging ridiculous amounts for the very cheap, plasticky, rubbish headphones that are in there. Basically, the request for Bluetooth-enabled in-flight entertainment systems to allow for use of your own headphones has been at the top of the frequent flyer wish list for many a year. So the announcement this week will be music to most travelers' ears. And did you like what I done there? Such a loser.
You are so quick. Wow. You probably practiced that, like, took the weekend to put that together.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much my whole weekend was in the mirror trying to get that right.
Yeah, to slip that in there. So it seemed like, but the one good thing that I get, like we were saying, sometimes it's like $20 for, these piece of crap headphones that you could buy in any one of those Chinese shops along, any street in any city. And literally you throw them out the minute you're done with them, because you're not going to use them for anything else because they are the worst headphones in the world. What a huge amount of waste that creates too. I mean, it's bad for the environment. It's not just, crappy headphones. It's literally bad for the environment because it's a huge amount of waste. So that is good news. I think that is a step in the right direction because everybody has headphones now. We all have our headphones because we're all connected to some device or another. So the fact that we can just rock up to the airplane and, hook in, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, exactly right. Like you say, there are numerous benefits too as well. And it's sort of like you say, it is a step in the right direction. And we've also seen this week as well with regards, sorry, not this week, but we've talked previously with regards to a lot of airlines also getting rid of the physical in-flight magazine now. That's all gone digital as well. So, again, that's more waste that's going to be eliminated from future. So, all good news.
Slowly in the right direction, slowly but surely. And crew questions this week. What's going on there?
Yes, we received a question in from Charles this week who wanted to know why he was unable to book a direct flight from South Africa back into Turkey to join the yacht he's currently on. Unfortunately, Charles, the reason is that Turkey this week have suspended direct flights from South Africa and 5 other countries, again, due to concerns over certain variants of COVID. South Africa being one of the countries, the others are India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Brazil, and Bangladesh. Now, Charles, though, it's not all bad news because if you're obviously you're unable to take the direct flights because they're not operating, but provided you can find a route that allows you to transit, you can still enter Turkey. It's not that you've been banned from going to Turkey, it's literally just that they're not having the direct flights. So what you'll need is obviously to make sure you're able to transit wherever you're going to go via. You'll also need to take a COVID test dated no more than 72 hours before your arrival in Turkey, and you'll also need to self-isolate for 14 days. Again, obviously, if you need help in finding flights or you want the latest up-to-date travel restriction news, please do reach out to myself and Blue Marine Travel, and we're more than happy to help.
Well, I mean, the fact that there's even a flight to get out of South Africa at this moment is good news. I mean, they were one of the hardest countries to get in and out of last year. It was impossible. And so the fact that there is flights, it may not be direct, but getting in and out is possible. That's a good step.
It is, yeah. From what I understand, certain parts of South Africa have gone back into a sort of a mini lockdown because I think the cases have been rising there slightly. So, hopefully, fingers crossed for the guys who are there, and who need to get back as well, that they're not going to stop the flights and close the airspace like they did last time. Because for a period of about 3 to 6 months, it was increasingly difficult, for the guys to get to and from home or to work. So let's hope they're not going to go back that way. Flights are still operating. I know Qatar Airlines are flying in there. Some other European carriers are still flying. So fingers crossed for them. Hopefully, it will carry on and they'll still be able to get to and from work.
One thing I'm pretty sure that I was under the understanding that in South Africa, when there's lockdown, they don't sell booze.
They don't. He's exactly right. Yeah, they do. They stop the service of booze.
Can you imagine?
I'm surprised they've done right, to be honest.
Oh, how would you get through lockdown? That's just insanity.
Tough. Yeah. I mean, it's
tough.
I
am not advocating drinking alcohol at all. But a glass of wine definitely helps get you through those long, long days and nights where you're stuck indoors with just your kids and your cats. Right? And I'm not talking about me.
Not you at all. No personal experience there whatsoever.
No. I couldn't imagine? Like, I mean, you know, everything is taken away. Everything is taken away. At least you could be like, you know what? I'm going to Netflix and have a glass of wine. I'm not saying get drunk, but, you know, Netflix and have a glass of wine. At least there's that. Oh, wait, no, there's not that. And I hear there was like some countries that have rolling blackouts and stuff still too. It is like, okay, so take away any freedom whatsoever, take away your glass of wine and take away your Netflix. And then what do you have? You have to speak to each other at candlelight.
Could you imagine? Oh my word.
Oh,
I bet divorce rates went through the roof.
I can imagine, right? I tell you, you know what? The one thing that I did discover during lockdown was that my kids are okay. You know, they're pretty nice people.
As in they're sane and normal?
Well, no. They're okay, as in they're not sane nor normal. Which makes them pretty okay in my books. But they seem nice enough. You know, they seem nice enough. And I'm sure that, you know, the next lockdown and, you know, what, 2080 or something, we might reconnect.
If you're lucky.
Right. Well, Lee, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Lots of bad news this week, unfortunately.
No, it wasn't that bad. It is what it is. And you know what? We are, if you just go back a year from right now, we are a hell of a lot, you know, further ahead than we were last year. So, you know, the news is better than it could have been. Yeah.
Small mercies.
Yeah, exactly. You got to look at the silver lining, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I've got to say once again that Crew Travel is brought to you by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the 70s. And again, the astounding Lee Harris. Thank you for your time.
Always great. And you done the word of the day at the end this time. I like it, mixing it up.
I know, right? Got to keep people on their toes.
Yeah, well done. Anyway, I shall see you next week.
Perfect. You've been watching another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.